Hello, everyone. Welcome. Doing turn one. This is our play by email Sport of Kings campaign. All the teams have submitted their turns, their initial setup, and their turn one moves, and here we are going to run them live. Looks like we do have a handful of people chatting. When you get a second, if you could pop in and say hi, and if you're one of the players, if you could please let me know which country you're running. That way, if there's any decisions throughout play, we'll be able to, um, include your decision-making process. Usually, if there's any battles uh, or stuff like that that require some, if you want to retreat from combat, et cetera, et cetera. So. We'll go ahead and get started. We're going to start with our initial setup. At the moment, I have blocks representing units for each country, and they're set up all on their initial starting territories. And hello, Matthew Anderson. Thank you for joining us. And so what we're going to do is with the initial setup, each country gets so many additional troops that they get to add to their army and their forces. And we're just going to go in country order. And we're going to start with Austria first. So Austria is the yellow over in here. Get my laser pointer, might be a little easier. Austria is yellow. And to start off with, they're going to start with 10 additional units in Austria. So I'm going to go ahead and use these red discs to represent fives. So here we go, starting with that. And then they're adding an additional 6 into Bohemia, which is up here. And then an additional 4 into Milan, which I'm going to use these green discs to represent 2 apiece. They've got 2 green discs, adding 2 in Milan. Now they also have generals, but generals are hidden or not private public information, so I'm not going to announce those. The generals will only become relevant. And yes, I see Stephen Cyrus is in. He's France, and also Mike. Mike is Spain. So welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for joining me. Next is England. England is, we got 5 in the English territory itself. Scotland. Scotland gets an additional 2. And Hanover. Hanover's adding an additional 3. New England over in the colonies, which I'll go ahead and turn just a little bit. Might be a touch out of focus, but I think the general idea will be known. So New England is getting 2. The Middle Atlantic colonies is adding 1. Southern colonies is adding 1. And Bengal. Bengal here in India is adding 5. And then Jamaica down here in the Caribbean is adding 1. Now, England also has naval forces, so I'll be adding those just so everybody can kind of see. I made little tokens for the naval forces. This is the Marine unit, and then we also have, like, this is a heavy battle fleet. Because heavy battle fleets can be damaged, there's also a damaged side. Like that. So, start off with England is placing a heavy battle fleet in the Eastern Atlantic. They're placing a medium battle fleet in the Indian Ocean. They are placing a light battle fleet in the Eastern Atlantic. They're placing a light battle fleet in the Western Atlantic. And also a light battle fleet. Where did it go? Hold on a second. I'm out. Eastern Atlantic, Western Atlantic. Indian Ocean is the medium. Eastern Atlantic is a light. Western Atlantic is a light. They have an additional. Apparently, I need to pick up an additional token for them. I didn't grab an extra token. That's why I'm confused. And then a light battle fleet in the Indian Ocean. So 1, 2, 3, medium, heavy. Yep, that's right. All right, and then they've got transport fleets. Now, the thing with transport fleets, if you can see, transport fleet has two sides. One side has a T that'll denote that they're available for transport, and the other side has an S that denotes that they're to be used for supply, so they're not available to transport troops. So, Eastern Atlantic is a transport. Western Atlantic is a transport. Indian Ocean is a transport, and Indian Ocean is also a second transport. And then finally, the Marines are in the Indian Ocean. So there is the British setup. Next will be France. France. Northern France, placing 15 in northern France. Southern France is gaining an additional 1. Upper Canada is gaining 1, and Lower Canada is gaining 2. Excuse me. Let me place these here and here. Here, let me put this, I guess, know what turn we're on. We're in the initial deployment. And then finally, Mysore is getting an additional 1. Now, as far as the French Navy, looks like all of their naval assets are being placed into the Mediterranean Sea, except that one transport fleet is being placed in Marseille in the port there. Otherwise, everything else goes into the Med. So they've got 2 mediums and 3 lights. And medium. And their transport fleet. And then the Marines as well. All right, that's it for France. I guess real quick, those of you guys that are watching, if you wouldn't mind, am I sounding okay? Are you able to hear me okay? Any issues with that kind of stuff, please let me know. And I'll try to remember to look over behind the computer's behind me, so I have to turn around and look at it. All right, now we're going to go with the Ottomans. The Ottomans are next. I'm going to go ahead and shift the camera just a little bit. So, and just for reference, down here in the bottom right corner, these are the Ottoman territories down here. So to start, Turkey is adding an additional 2. Crimea is adding an additional 6. And Albania is adding an additional 12. So I'm going to get 2 reds and 1 green. Place them in Albania here. And that's it for the Turkish setup. Next is Prussia. Prussia is relatively straightforward. They're placing 9 into Prussia. I got 1 red and 2 green. And then in East Prussia, they're doing 11. I'm going to grab 2 red and 1 gray. Right there. That's it for the, oh, hey, great. Sounds good. Thank you very much. That's it for Prussia. Next is Russia. Russia. So, north central Russia, they're adding 6. So 1 red and 1 gray. Central Russia, they are also adding 6. Looks like I'm going to have to invest in more red chips. And southern Ukraine is taking 8. So I'm going to skip the reds since I'm kind of running out of those. I'm going to do, I'll just do 4 reds. 1, 2, 3, 4 into southern Ukraine. It's kind of interesting how things are shaping up so far with the initial setup. Spain, España. What is España doing? España is adding 2 to Spain. They're adding 5 to Florida. They're adding 2 to New Spain. And they're adding 3 to Cuba. And finally, they're adding 2 to Manila. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 2 grays in Manila here. And then finally, their Navy. 1 battle fleet starts in the Philippine Sea. 1 medium battle fleet, that battle fleet in the Caribbean or the Philippine Sea was a medium. They have a medium in the Caribbean. 2 lights in the Caribbean. 1 light in the Philippine Sea. A transport fleet in the Caribbean and 1 in the Philippine Sea. And then their Marines are going to be in the Philippines. Let's see if I just kind of off the board there. You couldn't really see that down there. Apologize for that. So all of there's Philippine Sea, Spanish fleets, and then also Caribbean up here, Spanish fleets. I believe that covers that. Finally is Sweden. Sweden is doing 5 in Sweden, 2 in Finland, and 2 in Pomerania. So I'm just going to grab those real quick. Come around the long way. Now Sweden does start with a small fleet. They get 2 lights and a transport. Those are all in the Baltic. I guess they didn't want to take the chance of visiting the Caribbean or someplace warm, so decided to stay up there. And that's it for the setup. What we do have to do real quick, though, is the colonial or in the colonies, we have to distribute um, colonial troops and regular troops. So half of all the SP placed, rounded up, are colonial troops, and then the remainder are um, regular troops. So makes it easy for something like the Ohio Valley and Louisiana. Those are only one, so those are colonial. Canada has got 2, so it's 1 and 1. And then Lower Canada has 3 in there, so 2 of them become colonial. So that was that. In England, here's 1 and 1, 1 and 1, and then these 2. Spain has 6 in Florida, so 3 of them become colonial troops, and 3 of them become regular troops. Here we got 3 in New Spain, so 2 of them become colonial. 1 in Panama becomes colonial. 1 in New Granada becomes colonial. Let's see, there's 3, 4, so 2 of them are regular in Cuba, and 2 are colonial in Cuba. Tough thing with the Spanish, they didn't really have a lot of color options for cubes, so they're colonial. The English colonials are white. The French colonials are kind of a light purple or lavender. The Spanish are salmon, which is where the regular colors are orange. So it's you got to be. I have to pay attention closely to that to make sure there's no bleed over with that. Now, going, see, I think I've got everybody. Oh, here we go. There's 1 colonial in Leeward Islands, and the French West Indies become colonial. I think Jamaica, 1 and 1. All right, I think I've got everybody there switched. Coming to the subcontinent, Mysore is easy. They're 1 and 1. Carnatic is easy because that's just 1. And down here. And then Bengal. Bengal has 6, so 3 are regular. I might be, stand by a second. I might actually be incorrectly doing that. I do believe. All SPs placed in the East Indies theater are colonial, so everybody in the subcontinent is colonial. So scratch that. These are 6. Mysore is 2. Now the only difference of that is Manila. Manila starts the game with 2 regular SPs, and then every other colonial added to that is or every SP added to that is colonial SPs. So they added 2 additional colonial SPs. So that, I believe, assuming I didn't flub that up and took care of it properly, that should be that. And then we'll be ready to move to the next phase. I'm going to clean up my chips. Red, Spain, purple. All right. Just, I've already made a video about the random events phase, but just to review, since we're all here doing it. There were 4 territories that had random events. The Marathas right here, this territory here had famine. Franconia, which is right here in the middle, kind of in the middle of Europe, that had desertion. Tuscany, which is this guy in the Italian peninsula down here, had unrest. And Bohemia, which is this guy right here, which is Austria, had desertion. So that means is they ended up losing one SP. One of their regiments ran away. So that territory is reduced by 1. Offboard front, Turkey, down here in the bottom right, there's an assumed additional front offboard that's not accounted for against the Persian territories. There's a random roll that's made to reduce the amount of gold that they receive to account for paying for that. And the roll is made so they'll lose 6 gold pieces this turn. The Jacobites, there's a roll to see if the Jacobites rebel. They did not. And then tropical diseases. Out of all the Caribbean territories, Southern Pacific, Indian Ocean, all that, only the French West Indies rolled for tropical disease. So that means they can't collect or move there, or collect any gold there, or raise any troops there. Um, so when we get to the gold collection phase, the Ottomans will be -6 and the French will be -2. And then finally, the Spanish treasure fleet, that's a secret roll, so I'm not going to disclose that. Unless the Spanish player wishes to, tell everybody what it is that they're doing. But I'll leave that to them. All right. That is it for random events. Now we're to the revenue collection phase. I'm going to hand out everybody's gold. Austria gains 23. I've got little metallic coins. Kind of makes it easy to see. So Austria is getting 23. England's getting 26. Maybe I might have to open up the next bag. 25, 6. England's getting 26. France is getting 24. Should have seen this one coming. It's 15. There's 4. 24. The Ottomans would normally get correction. France gets 22. My bad. I forgot to account for that. So they've only got 22. Yoinks! Your money has been taken away. Ottomans would get normally 16, but they only get 10 due to their off-board front allocation. Turkey gets 10. Prussia gets 12. I think I'm going to have to invest in more metallic coins if we proceed this way. Prussia gets 12. Russia's also going to get 12. Spain is easy. I'm just going to do Spain at 6 because they're right here. And then, Sweden. Sweden got 6. And then, finally, Spain. I'll just open up the other bag. Should have had the foresight to realize that there wasn't going to be enough. Spain should be getting 21. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 20 and 1. All right, that was our. I got to remember to advance so we know everybody knows when they pop in. That was our revenue collection. I think we've got it all square. Next, going to the diplomacy phase. And basically, this is where the players will announce any public announcements. If they want to declare any alliances, break any alliances, declare any wars publicly as opposed to a surprise attack, this is where the time that it would be done. And we do have a few announcements. The first announcement is from France. France declares thusly, or announces thusly: Versailles is proud to announce the formal alliance of the Bourbon houses of France and Spain. So we do have a declared alliance between France and Spain, at least from the French side. Let's see if the Spanish reciprocate. The Ottoman Empire also makes an announcement. The Ottomans declare, the great nation of Sweden and the Ottoman Empire have struck a mutual defensive treaty to curb potential aggressors. So here we have the Ottomans and the Swedes making a defensive alliance, or a defensive agreement, I should say. See, the next one is Spain. Spain was wonderfully verbose. They didn't actually get it in the little area that was provided on their turn sheet, so I had to actually handwrite it out, and it extended onto a second page. So here we go. The Spanish declares, the Spanish court extends its heartfelt prayers to the subjects of the French crown residing in the French West Indies. As a precaution, King Philip has ordered all Spanish mercantile and military fleets to avoid the indicated port. The Spanish court is further disturbed by reports the disease ravaging the French West Indies may have been no random occurrence. It is said that the corpses of 6 dead slaves were found stuffed into casks of rum, and that the illness spread as people drank unwittingly from the casks. The sailors of the British trading vessel were unloading. I had to write it down, so it's scribbling. Stand by. The sailors of the British trading vessel who unloaded the shipment, it is said, knew exactly from which cask to drink, and that the vessel was the very first to leave with the tide the next day. We hope that King George will investigate this matter forthwith. In the meantime, the Spanish court is privileged to announce an alliance between the Spanish and the French empires, so that we might mutually protect one another in these troubling times. So we have a fairly firm and serious accusation from the Spanish court, as well as reciprocating the alliance with France. Finally, Sweden. Sweden also has taken the time to make an announcement. Sweden says, His Majesty has traveled to Pomerania to review his troops. And also would like to add, Sweden is promoting discounts and free travel for its renowned Foreign Legion troops. He's holding out his troops as guns for hire. So that is all we really have to do for the diplomacy phase at the moment. We have one alliance declared between France and Spain that does come with benefits. They're able to transport each other's troops, be a naval movement, and they're also able to utilize each other's capitals and bases for supply. So with that, We're going to move on to the move and builds. The move and builds plot phase itself, that's occurs offline in the over Discord. That's how the players email me their moves and stuff like that. So next will be Naval Moves. There's only a handful of Naval Moves. The first naval move is that Spain is moving 2 SP from Spain onto French transport fleets in the Mediterranean. Or I should say, technically, what happens is the French transport fleet picks up the Spanish units during naval movement. And there is an additional naval movement being made. Spain is making some naval movement. Spain is picking up 3 SP. I need to make sure I didn't accidentally, when I copy this down. Real quick, I'm going to take a moment. I think I need to clarify. So, Mike, Spain, I'm going to send you a message over Discord real quick. Typing. Yeah, we are going to have some naval movement. All the fleets are moving from the Philippine Sea to the Indian Ocean. But I need to get some clarification real quick. Getting the clarification. All right, getting the clarification. Spain is, and it was my fault because I didn't. I transcribed the turn sheets and I missed some stuff when I did the transcription because what I did transcribe. Yeah, it's on there. I just, yeah, yep. Sorry. Sorry, Spain. It is on there. I just confused myself when I looked at it. So I apologize for that. So, yeah. So During the naval phase, 2 regular SPs and 1 colonial SP embarked on the transport fleet, and they moved with the transport fleet to the Indian Ocean. All right, we're square. We're good. I apologize for that, everyone. That was completely my fault. I confused myself because it is on the turn sheet and I transcribed it properly. I just didn't actually pay attention to the details when I did it. Okay, so that's it for the naval movement. There are no hurricanes because hurricanes is a winter turn only event. So now we look towards naval combat. Well, nobody's at war, so Spain and England are in the same sea zone here, but they aren't at war with each other. So nobody's fighting anybody. They don't have any reason to engage any combat. So there is there is no naval combat. So we can continue on to France. I did see your message. That is part of the land movement phase, which we are getting to right now. So, land movement. We're going to start with Austria. Austria is moving. See, they've got 10 right now. They are moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 from Austria to Poland. They're moving 1 from Austria to Bohemia. They're moving 6 from Bohemia to Württemberg. They're moving 5 from Milan to Modena. And they're moving 1 from the Netherlands to the Palatinate. That is it for the land movement. So Austria looks like they're in the process of expanding their borders. We've got Poland, Württemberg, and Modena at the moment for some potential combat. Next is England. England is moving 5 from England to Ireland. They're also moving 6 from Bengal to Nepal. See if you guys are able to see that. Yep. Bengal to Nepal. That is it for England. Stand by a second. What? Okay, well, time to go get Indian food for lunch. All right, I'm sorry about that. We did England to Ireland and then Bengal to Nepal. Okay. So that is it for England. Next, let's see who we got here. I'm sorry, I don't recognize Huisi. Map and rules commercially available. If yes, who does them? Sort of. You can purchase Todd Kirshner Dale Woods Warfare in the Age of Reason 3rd edition, and They have their Sport of King rules are in there. This, what you see here, and the rules that I've made are my own house rule modifications to them. So you won't actually be able to get this map nor the specific rules that I'm using because they are my own modifications and adjustments. But the base core stuff is available, um, and I honestly don't recall at the moment where they're located. To continue, France. France is moving 10 from northern France to the Netherlands. One, two, three, four. And then moving 5 from northern France to the Palatinate. 4 plus a purple. So we have both Austria and France in the same territory moving in together. That might end up being pretty interesting. We'll see how that fares out in the next phase. The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire are moving 12 SP. 12 SP from Albania to Bosnia. So they're moving 12. Gotta make sure I got the right color to there. And they're also moving 4 from Turkey. I'll need to come to the other side. From Turkey, which is here, to Georgia, which is this little guy right up here above the turn track. That is that for now. Prussia. What is Prussia going to do? Well, well, well. This is interesting. Prussia's moving 5 SP from Prussia to the Duchy of Warsaw. So I'm going to replace these. They're moving 5 from East Prussia to Poland. This might be exciting. And then they're moving 7 from East Prussia to Livonia. That's 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. That's all of them right there. Very good. Should probably write down where all these at so I can keep track of them. Oops, missing one. There we go. Russia. Russia is moving 6 SP from Kiev, Central Russia to Kiev. North Central Russia to Lithuania, they're moving 6. Looks like we're definitely doing a land grab for Poland. And then southern Ukraine to southern Russia, they're moving 9. And they're moving all 9 to southern Russia. Spain. Spain is disembarking their 2SP from the Mediterranean to Naples. Go ahead and do this. We're giving some Italian reinforcements there. And then in the Indian Ocean, they're moving their 1 colonial and 2 regular SPs off the transport fleets onto the Nizam's dominion and amphibiously assaulting it, and their Marines are joining the fight. That is it for movement from Spain. And then for Sweden, Sweden does not have any onboard movement or public movement, so therefore the movement phase is complete. All right. Now we're going to go to, stand by a second, check something out. All right. Now we're going to building. Austria is building 3 SP in Austria, and 1 SP in Milan, so that way they maintain control of that territory. And that is a cost of 20 gold. England. England is building 2 SP in Bengal. 2 SP in Bengal, because it's in here. It's colonial. They're building 1 in the northern Carnatic. Find my chips. And they're building 2 in Hanover. That cost England 25. France. France is building 2 SP in Lower Canada and 2 in Upper Canada. So again, these are colonial. Lower Canada and 2 in Upper Canada. And again, that will cost them 20. Did I not? Where's... there we go. The Ottomans. The Ottomans are building 2 in Crimea for a total of 10. That should be all of theirs. Yep. Prussia is building one in each of their territories, one in East Prussia. That holds on to East Prussia, and then one in Prussia. Russia is building two in southern Russia. Kind of, I gotta take their money away. Give me your money. Let's see. There we go. And then you built two as well. Spain. Spain goes whole hog and builds four in Manila. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 20. And finally, Sweden. Sweden, Sweden, Sweden. Where are you, Sweden? Sweden raises 1 SP in Pomerania. For 5. That should be it for the builds. Finally, we will move to the land combat. We have lots of land combat. Most of it's NPC or non-player combat, basically attacking neutral territories. So we'll take care of that first, get all that out of the way, and then we'll have a discussion about the non-player land combat. Or player combat, I should say. Naval combat, land movement. I gotta get my rules out so I have the proper chart. Basically, this is conducted with a die roll, and it's based upon a modifier according to the ratio of the value of the territory and the number of troops attacking. Grab some dice. All right. Let's go in order here. There's nothing in the New World Theater. There's no real movement up there. So what we have here is a couple in India. So we'll start with the English versus Nepal. They have 6 SP versus Nepal's value of 1. It gives them a 6-to-1 ratio. That's a +5 to the die roll. So we'll roll. Got a 4. Makes it a lot. So the English win, and then the English win, and they gain. You know, they walked in. The Nepalese welcome English English rule, and they were so excited about it, they raised a battalion and offered it to English service, or I should say the East India Company service. Finally, Nizam. Spain is attacking Nizam. They've got 4 plus the, or they've got 1, 2, 3, 3, and then 4 with the Marines, so they're at a 4-to-1, which gives them a +3 modifier. But because it's a amphibious invasion, it's a -1 to the die roll. So 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Attacker wins, plus SP equal to half the territory, rounded up. So Nizam's Dominion enjoy the presence of the Spanish. So they also raise a battalion in the Spanish East India Company. So here I'm going to come over to the turn track so I can remember. So England went up by 1. Spain went up by 1. All right, I think that takes care of all of the in this area over here. Let's start here with Ireland. English moved into Ireland 5-to-1. That gives them a +4 to the die roll. See how the Irish feel about the English presence. 2 plus 4 is a 6. Attacker wins, but they're not so excited as to raise a battalion. They just are okay with them being there. So that puts England up to 28. Where else do we got? Where else do we got? Well, real quick, France moved into the Netherlands. Austria didn't do anything to counter that. So France goes up 2. 1, 2 to 26. Austria goes down 2. 1, 2 to 21. We're going to skip that one because it has 2 players in there. We'll go to Württemberg first. Austria moved into Württemberg with 6. They're a 2-value country, so that is a 3-to-1. So that is a +2 to the die roll. They rolled a 1. Rolled a 1, +2 is a 3. The attacker wins the territory, but they lose 2 SP. So Austria, they weren't too happy about the Austrians being there. They put up a fight, but Austria did manage to capture the territory. So Austria goes back up 2. 1, 2. We'll come down here to Modena. Modena has 5 Austrian SPs to Modena's value of 1. That's a 5-to-1, so that's a +4. Where's my die? 5 plus 4 is 9. Attacker wins. Modenese, I believe that's how it would be said. The Modenese love the Austrians. They raise a number of SP equal to the value. The value is only 1, so they maxed out. Where else? Moving across. Try to kind of keep it. Duchy of Warsaw. We'll do Duchy of Warsaw real quick. Duchy of Warsaw, then Livonia, Lithuania, Kiev, and then Bosnia. And I think that covers all of it. So Duchy of Warsaw has 5 to Duchy of Warsaw's value of 3. So if it was 6-to-3, that'd be a 2-to-1. So it doesn't meet that, so it's basically a 1-to-1 ratio. They get a straight die roll. So we'll see what happens. Straight die roll. See what do we got here on Spain. Oh, yeah. Spain's throwing some shade at England there. That's great. All right, straight die roll for the Prussians in the Duchy of Warsaw. 1. That's not good. Attacker retreats. Loses 1 SP. So the Duchy of Warsaw, they don't like the Prussians there. They kick them out, and the Prussians lose 1 in the process. Actually, I could have done. I'm going to do this instead. Keep it clean. Yeah, you're home. There we go. All right. Moving up, we have 7 in Livonia. It's a 7-to-1 ratio. That gives them a +6. So Livonians are going to allow the Prussians in, and they like their overwhelming Prussian force. It's just going to matter by how much. Well, it doesn't matter. The worst they can get is a 7, and the attacker wins a 1 SP. So I mean, they only have a 1 SP value, so they're gonna get it regardless. So all right, so Prussia goes up to 13 +1. I don't think I gave the Austrians the +2 for Modena. So they're at 25. All right. Russians in Lithuania. They've got Lithuania's 1, so that's a 6-to-1 ratio. That's a +5. Let's see what I do with my die. Where'd my die go? Here it is. Let's see if they get the SP. 3. So 5 + 3 is 8. They get equal to half rounded up, so they do get an additional +1. So Russia takes Lithuania. They increase by 1. Kiev. Kiev has a value of 2. Russia's moved in with 6. That is a 3-to-1. So Russians get a +2 to the die roll. So 1. So 1 + 2 is a 3. Attacker wins, but they lose 2 SP. So Russians go up 2, 1, 2. But they lose 2 SP. They only have 4 in Kiev. I just realized something. I might have missed putting something out for the Russians. Nope. Okay. I'm going to presume that the Russians didn't mean to abandon southern Ukraine. So I'm going to, so I don't think any of them are on the stream. So I think since I allowed the Spanish to kind of correct a mistake, I'm going to allow the Russians to correct a mistake, and they've built 1 in southern Ukraine instead of 2 in southern Russia. So, okay. Georgia. The Ottomans have Georgia way on the right side over there. It's a 0 rated territory. They moved in with 4. We'll call it a 5-to-1 ratio, so they get a +4. I mean, they're going to win, but they don't get anything. So if Georgia wins, then it's a +0 territory. But they've captured it, but it doesn't make any changes. And then finally, Bosnia. I think that's the last one. Bosnia is valued of 2. Ottomans moved in with 12. That's a 6-to-1. That's a +5 to the die roll. They rolled a 1. That makes it a 6. Attacker wins. They win Bosnia, but they don't gain anything from it. Okay, so then we have two territories in which two players are in it. One is the Palatinate. So the question is, are they going to fight? And the answer is no, they're not going to fight because by a previous agreement, France and Austria, France agreed to give Austria safe passage. So France and Austria are both attacking the Palatinate, although France is going to take control of the territory if they win it. Palatinate, so there's 5 to Austria's plus Austria's 1, so there's 6 total. So it's a 6-to-1 ratio. There's a plus 5. So 1, that makes it a 6. So Austrians, the French win or take over the Palatinate. They don't raise any SP. It gives them an extra plus 1. Let's see. A quick look at the comments before we move to player battle. Let's see. Mike then commented about Spain throwing shade at Todd Kirshner. Hey, Todd. Todd Kirshner is the author of the rules. So, huisi. If you want to have any questions about the rules and where they're available, Todd Kirshner is the one to do it. So ask him where to purchase the rules. Or Todd, if you just want to post where you can pick up your rule book at. But yeah, loving it, James. Great job. Thanks. Appreciate it, Todd. Glad you could join us. So finally, we have Prussia and Austria and Poland. And I've not received any direction from either of them. From the players. So the commanders on the field, there is some animosity between the two countries. So I think the commanders on the field are probably going to make an attack here. We have the Austrians, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That doesn't sound right. That should be 9 for the Austrians. 9. Yep, I think I gave an extra chip. 9 to the Prussian 5. Here's the question, though. Are the Prussians okay? So now we got to decide. They both move into the territory. Which side does Poland favor? Does Poland favor the Austrians or does Poland favor the Prussians? So, to figure out, I believe we roll a die to determine that. Basically, high die wins. Just need to verify on my rules why I wrote that down. I do believe that is the case. That'll set up. Here we go. Yeah, if two opponents simultaneous, I don't have page numbers on it, but battle setup. If two opponents simultaneously move into a neutral territory, the battle will be a meeting engagement. In this case, neither side will gain the benefits of defensive works. Both sides will roll 1d6 with the higher result gained, the territory's production value and SP added. I do believe any generals present will modify the roll. So, the Austrians did not move a general into Poland, whereas the Prussians have a sub-general in Poland. So the Prussians If you notice, this is what the Prussian general's tokens. This will focus. So that's a subgeneral has a value of 1. They add 1 to a die roll. There's also general, kings will add a +2, or maybe in Fred and Prussia's case, they get a +3. So real quick, I've got a black die. I'm going to get a white die. Okay, the Austrians will be the white die. Prussians will be the black die. Let me fix that. Focus. There we go. That's more in focus there. Bam. Okay. Todd, yes, I did subtract 1 for amphibious evasion against the Spanish in India. Unless I did the math wrong. I might not have accounted for it, but they rolled high enough that they won the territory. So, let's see here. Okay. Austrians are the white die, Prussians are the black die with a +1. Oh, they both roll 6s, but the Prussians get the +1, so the Prussians win. So the Prussians get an additional +3. This is going to be a battle now. So 3 for the Prussians. So that makes it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Prussians to 9 Austrians. All right, so now we have a player battle here. You did, yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Okay, so how we do this is it's a straight land battle. There's no mountain passes. There's no crazy troops. Let's see. Did the Prussians include their guard cavalry in Poland? The guards are not present in Poland, so don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to generate 1 die for every 2 SP that are here. So since the Prussian or Austrians have 9, rounded up, that'd be 4.5 dice rounded up to 5 dice. The Austrians get 5 dice. The Prussians have 8, so they get 4 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Prussians have a commander, so the commander does is the commander modifies 1 die roll. The Austrians don't have a commander to modify their die roll. So, for example, if the Prussians were to get, let me back up. The die rolls, in order to cause a hit, they need to get a 5 or a 6 on the die roll. These are regular SPs, so they need to get a 5 or a 6. The Prussians, because the Prussians were a little bit better trained than everybody else, their first 4 that they roll also counts as a hit. If they get more than 1 4, only 1 4 counts. But otherwise, everything else for the Austrians and the other Prussian dice, a 5 or a 6 counts as a hit. The Prussian commander is a +1. So what that Prussian commander is able to do is able to modify the die roll to increase it to cause a hit. So maybe a second 4 that's rolled, he can modify that to a 5 to cause a hit. Or maybe he gets all 4s and 5, or all 5s and 6s, but he has 1 3. He can modify that 3 to a 4 to cause that 1 hit. So here we go for a battle. Okay. So here we go. Here's where the Prussian special ability kind of comes into effect. So we got 2 6s, so those are definitely hits. So they do 1 hit against each for sure. The Austrians didn't get any 5s or 6s additional, so these dice all go away. The Prussians, on the other hand, got these 2 2s, adding, modifying two 1s. The 1s aren't going to do anything, so those go away. But here the Prussian has a 3. So the Prussian commander will modify this die roll to a 4, meaning the Prussians cost 2 hits on the Austrians, meaning they win the battle. So Austrians take 2 casualties. Prussians take 1 casualty. Now we've got to do a little bit of cleanup on here. First of all, Prussia's going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. So there aren't any retreats to have to worry about except for the one in Poland. So we have the retreat after combat phase. The Austrians are going to retreat to Austria because that's where they moved from. So first, before retreat, we have to see if the Prussian commander becomes a casualty. Subgeneral rolls 2d6 and becomes a casualty on a roll of an 8. So I've got 2 dice here. On an 8 or greater, the Prussian commander becomes a casualty. Got an 11, so it becomes a casualty. What happens? One to 3, the commander is wounded and placed in the territory available for immediate use the next turn. If it's a 4 or 5, the commander is killed. Basically, he would then come back into play on turn 3. And if it's a 6, the commander is captured. So, let's see what happens here. All right. Okay, here we go for the Prussian commander. What's going to happen to the Prussian commander? 2. The Prussian commander is wounded. Prussian commander is moved to Prussia. Will be able to be used for next turn. Okay, now we do the retreat from combat. The Prussians have 7, and the Austrians should also have 7. So, Austrians will retreat to Austria, but are the Prussians able to catch any in the retreat? Prussia is Group B, has 3 dice. Austria is C, 2 dice. So Prussia has 1 die for retreat fire. If there is a natural 6 rolled, then the Austrians take 1 additional casualty for retreat fire. 4, nope, they get away. So Austrians retreat. Clean up the territory. All right. There we go. I should have land combat. So that is the land combat phase. We have completed the retreat phase. So now we're getting into the supply and control phase. All right. All right, territory which cannot trace a continuous line of supply through friendly, ally-controlled, or neutral territories back to the capital territory is marked out of supply. So are there anybody that's out of supply? I don't think so. I think, Todd, I did see you mention whether the Austrians and Italy are out of supply. That would not be the case because they're able to trace through the neutral territories. So, I don't think we're affected there. No colonial territories are out of supply. English have Hanover. Spain has Naples as a supply source. All right, so I'm going to put a French marker on Palatinate so that way we know it's a French territory, since both France and Austria are there. Otherwise, everybody else we know who's there by the color of the marker. So with that, that is the end of turn one. That's how the battle, that is how the battles all turned out. That's how the end of turn one turned up. But for the players going into turn two, we need to know how the random events for turn two plays out. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll random events for turn two. We'll go through that process live on the interwebs. We'll see what kind of crazy shenanigans the Jacobites get into this turn. Grab my pen. All right. Here we go. Random events. I'll do it on camera so that way we can see the die rolls. First things first. We need to determine how many territories are going to get a random event. So I'm going to roll a die here. 6 territories are going to have something fun and interesting happen to them. All right, before we figure out what the actual territories are going to affect them, first territory, number 6, has unrest. Production values halved in the territory. No SP may be raised this turn. Okay. Second territory is going to get 4. Successful recruitment. Territory 2 has successful recruitment. That's plus 2 SP. Territory number 3. 9. Desertion. They're going to lose 1 SP, whatever territory that is. I'm going to find a better place to write this down. I don't have enough room. Running out of room. All right. Now we're going to territory number 4. Territory 4. Again, this is turn 2 random events. I'll go ahead and move the campaign track up here so that way people who had to pop in know that we're discussing turn 2. Territory number 4, 11. Home country corruption, subtract 25% of the total point values this turn. Ignore if other than a home territory is rolled. Number 5. Oh yeah, I should thank you for pointing that out, Mike. The Spanish Marines moved back into the battle fleet after battle. Number 5. They rolled a 5. Sympathetic local ruler. Point values this turn are doubled in the territory. Occupying player's SP is increased by 2. Double there. And for the final territory, 6, unrest. Number 6 gets unrest. Okay, now comes the fun part, figuring out which countries get what. Now, there's a couple of here, like the number 11, the home country corruption. Um, I'm kind of thinking maybe to adjust the table a little bit, so that way, if that happens, because it's a pretty low chance it's going to happen anyways, but if it does happen, that you only roll for the home country territories. Because otherwise, if you don't have anything happen to it, then there's an even smaller chance that something can happen, which kind of takes away some of the fun. So I've got my percentile dice. We're going to figure out what territories are what. So I clank around with all my dice. Pardon me for a moment. Yeah, I bet you want the sympathetic ruler. We'll find out. All right, so I've got some percentile dice. Percentile. Number 1. Those of you who are playing in the game, on your rules, there's a chart so you guys can follow along with me. 23. 23 is Modena. The Austrians' newly captured territory of Modena has unrest. Apparently, they don't actually like the Austrians being there. Okay. Who successfully recruited? 82. 82 is the Duchy of Warsaw. Ah, too bad, so sad, Prussia. But you know what makes this even more exciting? It's because they have successful recruitment. Their value for fighting them next turn increases by 2. So, that'll be interesting. All right, Duchy of Warsaw. Desertion. Who's going to desert? Who is going to... Mike's throwing some shade at Austria now. Lordy Austria, teach your subjects how to behave. Todd, to answer your question, if you're referring to the Prussians, why did a 4 cause a hit on the Prussians? Because the Prussians have a special ability to account for their training and all that. That their first 4 that's rolled in a battle causes a hit. Any additional 4s beyond that don't cause a hit. Okay, looking for number 3. Who's going to desert? Pew pew. 10. Who's 10? The Marathas. Marathas doesn't have anybody to desert, or has somebody to desert. But I think we need to account for that. So they're a value 2 territory, but I think for invasion, if you're going to move into them, they'd be considered a value 1 territory. It only makes sense in that regard. I just don't have a way to mark it other than just to make a note for it. So, number 4. Number 4 is home country corruption. Who's going to get it? Pretty low chance that somebody's going to get it, but I'm going to laugh really, really loud if somebody gets it because that would be hilarious. 31. Finland. Oh, it was so close to Sweden, but not quite close enough. So, yeah, Finland, that goes Finland. That doesn't apply because that's not the home country. Sympathetic ruler. Who is sympathetic to their sovereign? Oh, my lord, that was bad. That was bad. Shoot. I'm going to go back and look at the moves because I don't know what was where now because of my stupid dice. I need to get a dice tray. Bohemia, Silesia, there's nothing in Silesia. Hungary, Transylvania, Modena, shoot. I'm going to go back and rewatch it because I don't remember where they're at. Okay. 19. 19 is Northern France. Northern France has a sympathetic ruler. So Northern France will get 2 additional SP, plus they get 3 additional, so they get half the value. Oh, it's doubled. Haha. So they get 6, they get an additional 6 on top of. So I'm just gonna get that there. All right. And then finally, who gets unrest? 30. Sweden. Man, Sweden. You just Sweden is unrested. So for unrest, remind it, production values are having the territory rounded down, and no SPs may be raised. So with that, I'm going to stand by on the revenue collection because I want to make sure that I've got all the math right. Yeah, I think we should be good. I gave France their extra 6 already. Sweden's only going to get 1 from Sweden. So they're basically -2, so they're only going to get 4. Russia's going to get 15. Prussia is going to get 16. Oops, if I can do math right. The Ottomans, oh, we're not done with our, oh, what am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. Ottomans are going to start, I'll just do it here. Ottomans are going to get 18, 10, yes, I know they get a roll, but that's okay. I'll give it to them and then we'll subtract. Spain is getting 22. Austria is getting 25. $17, $19, $21, $23, $25 for Austria. France is getting 27. They've already got their 6. So I need to go get more money. $20. 4, 6, 7. 27 for Northern France. And then finally, England is getting 28. 10, 15, 25. Plus 3. 28. These might get adjusted as I go through and as I pick stuff up and clean stuff up and I figure out my math is different, then I'll make notes to the individual players. All right, so we did the random events for the territories. Now we need to do the off-board front allocation for the Ottomans. Gonna roll a d6, see how much money the Ottomans lose. 6. They lose 9. Steal your money. 9. Okay. And then next we have to roll for the Jacobite Rebellion. And then finally is the Spanish Treasure Fleet, which is private and not on stream. So we're going to end the stream tonight with the roll for the Jacobite Rebellion. See what happens. The Jacobites, if they want to rebel, they need to get a 1 on the die roll. All right. Here we go. You guys ready? What's the Jacobites going to do? 5. They do not rebel. And there's much disappointment by everybody because everybody loves the shenanigans that happen when the Jacobites rebel. All right. So we have gotten through turn 1. Turn 1 is complete. We did have a battle in Poland between Austria and Prussia. The question is, did the local commanders take the initiative upon themselves to fight, or is this the way the winds are blowing with regards to war on the continent? We'll find out in future turns. Other than that, that's it for now. We've still got 7 people watching. For those of you still watching, before I sign off, do you have any questions about the game, what you've seen so far? It's the first stream. Any recommendations, suggestions, stuff like that, I'd greatly appreciate that. Otherwise, I'll give you a few moments if you have any questions. And after that, I'll be ready to sign off. I know there is a bit of a delay, so. Still waiting. Man, I would have almost kind of wonder if there's like a minute between what I say and you guys talk. Oh well, I'm not saying anything. I'll go ahead and call it for the day then. Want to thank everybody for joining me, and thank you, Steven Cyrus. Great first effort. Yeah, thanks. First time I've kind of done this whole thing, so hopefully it works out for the players. If anything, to kind of review what happened with the turn, stuff like that. So. Other than that, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off. I just got to figure out how to sign off now because YouTube is silly. So let me figure out Creator Studio standby. All right. Well, that's it for today. I appreciate everybody stopping in, and we'll just say goodbye, and we'll talk to you all next time.